Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies coming back at you with Middle-earth Monday. We are still working our way through the new Osgiliath box set that Games Workshop very kindly sent to me. We have done all the good guys now at this stage. We've shown you guys how to paint the scenery. We've shown you how to paint an orc. I think this week it's time to get on to Gothmog, both foot and mounted version, the leader of the evil army in the box set. And that will take us one step closer to having this box complete. With him being complete, I believe all that's left to do in the box set to finish it off is the troll. And then after that, I'm going to put it to you guys as to what you would like to see on Middle-earth Monday, what characters. I basically have every miniature Games Workshop has ever done for Lord of the Rings. So whatever you would like to see, put it in the comments below and I will add it to the list of models to do. Before I start the video, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my active patrons. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to keep the lights on, the cameras rolling. If you're interested in getting involved with my Patreon and have not yet done so, there are links to it below. Some of the benefits you get are access to a private Discord server where you can hang out with me and talk about your hobby on a daily basis. And 2, you also get an extra video every single week. So that's an extra 52 videos a year just for my patrons. Thank you guys so much. Let's get into the video. Gothmog is of course one of the new plastic character kits from Games Workshop. They brought out a whole heap of these in the last couple of years. Some of the more important characters have been getting the resculpts and they are unbelievable. So I got the both foot and mounted version built up on some handles for easy painting, sprayed black and then sprayed with grey Seer to help with the contrasting. After that we moved over to Aggaros Dunes and we're going to use this to get the first coat of brown fur on his warg. Do you think Gothmog named his warg? I wonder, does he have a cute little puppy name for it? Probably not. So, fur and contrast go together more than anything else. It just works so well. My only thing I would tell you guys to do is to make sure you go from light to dark. So what I'm going to do here, because the fur on Gothmog's warg is basically two-tone. It's light fur and dark fur. So I'm going to start with an all-over coat of the light fur Aggaros Dunes, because the darker contrast will go over it no problem. Whereas if I started with Garaghak Sewer, and then the Aggaros Dunes wouldn't cover that over, so it would be a bit of a disaster. So as you can see, I'm now going to start from the top and work my way down. I basically followed the pattern that was on the Games Workshop website for how to paint up this beast. Of course, it is a wild animal. You can paint it up with any kind of pattern of fur that you like. If you want to leave it at Aggaros Dunes and it's a more paler mount, totally up to you. But as this is kind of a named one, it's Gothmog's one. You can be seen in the movie. Although I don't really remember it being these kind of colors in the movie, but that's just me being silly. I will be painting up both of these characters as I go at the same time. So I'll be kind of jumping back and forth between models. Just make sure as I do one coat on one, I'm doing it on the other as well. So for instance, when I'm over here with the Blooded's Red, doing all of the fabric, the red fabric that is on Gothmog. Red seems to be the cohesive army of Mordor. It's that tiny splash of color that helps them know, who's what and where they fight and all that kind of jazz. So as I'm going through and painting where the red cloth is meant to be on the model that is on foot, I'm of course, as soon as I'm done, going back to the mounted version and doing the exact same step so that I don't miss it. After that, I'm going to go over to Wyldwood, and this is for basically all of the barding on the warg, all the straps. He's actually quite a lot of them to keep him up there. I don't think he's the most agile of riders. You can kind of see him cantering along in the movie, so even nearly kind of falling off the thing when he was getting off, but we won't get into that. I'm sure he's a glorious master rider. He's also got another shirt basically on the top half of him, so I'm going to hit that with the Wyldwood as well, the brown shirt. Goes up, it goes down kind of the right hand sleeve of him as well. So there's a few bits and pieces. It's kind of awkward to tell what part is what, so like I said, I use the Games Workshop 360 on the website to help me pick out all the right parts. From here, we're going to go to Volupus Pink, and I'm just going to fill in the mouth cavity of the warg. When I'm doing this stage, which is my general go-to for most inner mouths of beasts, I tend to hit the teeth and around the teeth and the gums and the tongue. I don't just go for the tongue and the inner mouth. I like to go all around the teeth. And then when I then start layering up the teeth later on, I leave a little bit of pink at the top, and it kind of plays the illusion of gums, and it makes the teeth look so much more natural. So like I said, a full coat of Volupus Pink, the entire mouth cavity, and while that's drying, I'm going to jump over to Leadbelcher and get a base coat on all of his armor. He does have this beaten paneled armor all across his body, except his head. He does not like to wear a helmet. Maybe you can get one to fit his big bulbous head. He also has a shield, which I've mounted to a separate piece on the mounted one. I'm going to stick it on at the end. That, of course, gets a coat of silver. The on-foot version actually just glued to his back, so I'll get that done as well while I'm going along. It's another thing that I never noticed. I did not see Gothmog with a shield at any point in the movie. Obviously, his left arm doesn't work too good, but he seemed to have one on his back. Why they decided to add that, I'm not 100% sure. If there is a scene in the movie where you can see him with a shield, I'd love to know about it, but I'm not really sure. Skeleton Horde is the kind of color I went for the first coat on his skin. He's obviously got quite a bizarre skin tone. It's like a milky white off color. It's kind of horrible. So I'm going to start that off, like I said, with the Aggaros Dunes. Or the Skeleton Horde, sorry. And then Zandri Dust is going to be used as the first coat on the teeth. Like I said, just a quick coat on all the teeth, leaving the Volupus Pink at the bit closest to where basically the gums should go. Super simple technique, but I promise you it'll make the teeth look better. Okay, with that, that's all the base coats applied, and it's now time to darken the whole model down. For that, we're going to go for Agrax Earthshade, the same shade that we used on the infantry model we used in the other video. Using the same shade across an entire army will help to tie it all together, even if you use different colors on different parts. So for instance, if I was doing a squad of 12 orc warg riders, which you can do in the game, no problem. They all have slightly different colored wargs, you know, browns and tans and everything. If they're all washed with brown, the tones are all going to get knocked kind of closer together. Even if you then layer them up in different ways afterwards, it will help. So after the shade has dried and I got some texture paste on the base, a few dry brushes and got that base all done up. It's now time to start the layering process. So the first thing I do is a very quick Screaming Skull dry brush across all the fur. All we're trying to do is pick out the tips. Very soft brush, very light dry brush, nothing crazy. And that will be it for me and the warg. That's the warg done for me. You got to remember that Lord of the Rings, although being a fantasy setting, is actually much more natural than something like Age of Sigmar or Warhammer or any of those other game systems would be. These are kind of grounded in reality, so think about this guy more of like hyena colors. It's quite dark. It's not going to be bright and vibrant and crazy. This is the color I'm leaving him at, and I think he looks fantastic. Khorne Red is the color I'm going to use to highlight up all of the red cloth parts on him. I've talked about this in the Mordor orc video. I know this guy is a Mordor orc, but you know what I mean. In that I quite like the idea that Khorne Red is the final highlight. So it's still going to work as a highlight because we've put on a darker color to start with and we've shaded it down. But the Khorne Red is not going to be, you know, eye-popping and scream at you from across the board because, you know, there's not amazing dyes in Mordor to make these big, you know, beautiful bits of cloth. It's whatever they can get their hands on. Rhinox Hide was used for all the barding for that layering process and that brown shirt that he has on his back and around his right shoulder and arm bit. And same thing with the red here. Rhinox Hide is such a dark color, but because I started darker, I can layer with this. It's still going to show up, it's still going to pop, that you're going to see that extra bit of detail, but it's not going to be crazy and in your face. Going back to Leadbelcher to highlight the armor. As you can see, I'm not going crazy, I'm just doing a few touch highlights on kind of sharper points, the kind of raised areas, leaving that really gnarly brown washed metal in all the crevices and the recesses and all that. You can see how little time I'm spending on each armor part. Here's the shield, for instance, just little touches on all the sharp corners. Around the Mordor symbol. And that's it. That's all I'm going to do. Nothing crazy. Nice and tidy. The depiction they have of the armor on the box is a little bit darker again. It's almost like black wash with just the tips done. Because I like it to be a little bit more, I think movie-like was a bit more brighter silver. So going back to Screaming Skull to highlight all of the teeth. This will make them look razor sharp. Once again, going a little bit further down than the Zandri Dust stage. Just having that nice transition of bone from the Volupus Pink into the Zandri Dust, into the Screaming Skull. From here, we're now going to work on some of that face. Like I said, it's supposed to be this kind of horrid milky white. So I'm going to use is a Karak Stone. And then do a quick layer job on all of his skin. So his skin is his big bulbous head like we talked about. His hands are showing through his armor, and then his left shoulder is basically exposed. It's almost like he's having a wardrobe malfunction. His strap of his dresses after falling down, exposing that shoulder. And it is horrid looking. So going in and layering up that. Now this makes the skin go a little bit too cold for my liking, but it does do the job of highlighting it. You could leave it like that if you're happy with it. I just wanted to put a little bit of warmth to it. So what I did was I took Reikland Fleshshade, added just a tiny touch of water to it so it flows a little bit better and it's not going to stain the higher parts as much, and then gave that a coat over the skin again, which, like I said, then changes the tone from what you see on the beast to the skin. These are the 2 finished models. I now have a Gothmog foot and mounted, ready for war. Who's going to lead my Mordor force in some upcoming games. I very much enjoyed the process, and this is actually the first of the new Lord of the Rings characters I have painted up the plastics, foot and mounted. I've got a whole heap of them to go, and I cannot wait to bring them to you guys for Middle-earth Mondays. Like I said, if you guys have specific characters you would like me to do, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I'm just probably going to jump on and start working my way through the Fellowship and getting those done, because I do believe they deserve a video each. Yeah, I think so. The age of man is over. The time of the orc is now. Gothmog is complete and ready to lead his horde of orcs through the ruins of Osgiliath. Maybe in a battle report coming up in a couple of weeks, we shall see. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you give it a like. Likes on a video are so important. That helps push it out to more people and helps the channel grow. If you haven't already subscribed, it would also mean the world to me if you took 2 seconds out of your day and hit that button. Ask me any questions you want in the comments below, and like I said, put in your suggestions for what models you'd like to see on Middle-earth Monday. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one.